Hi, I'm Norman Perillo, a furniture designer maker at Perillo Design and a woodworking educator author at WoodSkills. And today I'd like to talk about a new portable tool case I'll be building over the next week or two. So I'll show you an upcoming image of the actual tool case, and it's a tool case that originates from a Yeung Chan design. I had taken a furniture-related course with Yeung Chan about exactly 20 years ago at a furniture making school, a local furniture making school, and I was completely in awe of this portable tool case he brought along from San Francisco, and he traveled with it to teach and had the tools he used the most in his hand tool woodworking. Hand planes, saws, chisels mostly, and some measuring and layout tools. So I was in awe of it, and I told myself I'd like to perhaps build one day, and that time has come. I'm going to be going through all the steps in my build, twin steps on building it, and I'll show the first part of the possibly three-part series. And I'll be talking about how I laid out the tools and how it's critical to lay out the tools for your own, the tools you have in your own hand tool woodworking, your own chisels, saws, because they all come with different lengths. Some handsaw lengths and chisel lengths have been standardized, but some manufacturers don't follow any conventions, so they have longer ones or shorter ones. It depends on what you use. I'm going to be using this portable tool case when I travel and give woodworking demonstrations and teach woodworking techniques, hand tool oriented woodworking techniques. I've assembled most of the tools that I'll be using. I'll have a couple of jigs to bring along too, but these are all the tools, the important tools that I use in my hand tool woodworking. So it's going to be an interesting build, and something I've wanted to build for almost 2 decades now. This is a book, one of Yeung Chan's, I think, his only books. So I actually have a signed copy here from that very same class in 2004 in Almont, Ontario, Canada, and it's something to Norman. I hope you like the idea of my book. Enjoy woodworking. Good luck with your tools. I appreciate coming to my class. So that's interesting. Now, what I did at the time is I took some rough dimensions of the exterior dimensions of the case, the depth, the two sides, the depth on both sides because they're actually different, the width and the length of it, but I had not taken some of the inner compartment dimensions of the dividers, but not everything. So I'm working by eye at the moment. I'm basing everything on a photograph or two and what I remember of the tool case. But the photograph is sufficient enough for me to work with, along with the dimensions I've just described. So it's going to be exciting for me. You'll see in the first part of this video that I already have everything laid out, and it's taken me almost a day or two to lay everything out to what I prefer in a layout. And it's also similarly based to what he had in his own portable tool case. I'll have some concerns about the weight, but I think he addressed it by making it structurally strong by using glues where you normally don't use glues. So I'm going to be implementing that criteria in the build. Along with that, it's mostly hand tools in there and layout tools. The second or third video we'll delve into the actual build itself after I've broken the wood down from a plank down to usable pieces, and I can work with the pieces, dimension them correctly, and create the exterior frame for the two sides of the portable tool case, and also start working on the dividers. So it's very critical that I get the dimensions right. So I've laid out the slots or the dadoes for the individual chisel separations or dividers. They're in pencil marks, you can't really see them, but these are the two boards that encompass the dividers from top to bottom, so they have to be aligned correctly. So I've ensured that. They're in different heights, different widths at the moment, but that's going to be trimmed down later. So I'm just creating the dadoes on this precision, using my precision router sled on my router table. I've done one, and I'm going to be doing a second one now. So I'll just line this up. The important part of this criteria is to have them together, one at a time, using the same stop. sure that they're lined up. Okay, I've got everything marked. It's very important to mark everything in directions, and this is the top so you don't accidentally flip it over or something. I'll go ahead and do this now. Everything's lined up, everything's perfect, and the depth, they're actually 3/16 dadoes. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, and the depth is also close to 3/16, so it's going to be uniform right across, and it'll match when the dividers are inserted. So that's where I'm at. So I've set up the sled. I'm actually working on some dividers. You can see this is these are the horizontal dividers for the spoke shaves. And I'm working on the opposite side now. This is a small compartment for some measuring tools and the beading tool. So I'm actually creating a dado here. Coincides with dado on the inside frame, sorry. So that creates that compartment. So after this I'll be almost done. I just need to create the actual 3/16 inch dividers for the chisels. Complete the rest of the cabinet. The stand is it's going to be a challenge because I haven't actually ever made something like that before. So I've set up the stop block. This glides really well actually. It's a 1/4 inch dado. I'm actually fine-tuning all the individual dividers. The edges are all hand-planed. These are 3/16 vertical dividers. Just cleaning up the edges after having bands on them. So trimming the lengths of the individual chisel dividers on the shooting board. This is almost the best way to do it. Dial it right in. So this is approximate from a pencil line I've drawn. So I then test it against the actual frame, the inner frame of the tool case, and come back and continue. Where I'm at with the top part of the case, I'm building up the interior now with dividers. It's nice, actually a nice relaxing task. They're 3/16 inch thick, and these lower ones are longer, obviously. And they slide right in. So I need to scallop the create a profile so I get better access to chisels and probably drop the height a little. And I'm working on the upper parts now. So these are the individual components. So I'm glad that I'm able to use my walnut that I've saved for a long time, for many years. So this is how it looks so far. I have a beating tool and a small engineer square. This will be filled with chisels, conventional chisels, and these are marking measuring balls. And these are the 3 spoke shaves I'll be using. And this compartment, I haven't decided what I'll place there yet. No, it's just an extra compartment. So that's where I am now. So next, after I've done all the dividers, I need to bring this level down to about 1/4 inch or 5/16, make it uniform, and then drop everything in the interior to allow for the stand, the components of the Baltic birch stand. And that's a whole challenge in itself. I've never made one of those either. So it's getting there. I'm a little more encouraged now that I see this. So I just realized when I tilted this up, I lost the top part of this to show you. So this is how it looks at the very top with the spoke shave compartments. And these are vintage spoke shaves that I've restored, and they work really well. They're quite a bit lighter than a modern day metal spoke shave, so I prefer these. This is a beating tool with an engineer square, and this will be all my marking, measuring, marking awls and that sort of thing. Smaller chisels, a set of smaller chisels, detail chisels I have. And this again is the standard chisels in this section. There's a couple of wider compartments that will house possibly anything wider. And I need to profile drop the height of these dividers and profile them so I can better access the chisels. They're a little tall now, so I left them tall on purpose. So it's just a matter of readjusting that. So I'll continue with this, and I'll give an update soon. It's a lot of handwork here, trimming and thicknessing, trimming, and adjusting all the individual components. I'm actually bringing down some of the other dividers, the shorter ones, down to trimming the edges and bringing them down to size. I haven't decided on the final width of these dividers yet. This is just preliminary. I have 2 more here. Checking the grain direction. Using a short block plane is just handy. There isn't much smoothing involved here. It's just a little edge joining. So I just need to trim the ends. On a shooting board to fit the dadoes, and everything should be fine. What you're viewing now is the bottom part of the portable tool case, the wider, the larger part for the hand planes and for the Japanese saws, and some other measuring marking instruments, pencils, rulers, that sort of thing, plane hammers. And it's an upside down view, so this is the top view. In my latest configuration of hand planes, which is this, I'm going to have the Japanese hand planes in this area, and I'm going to place a divider here. And then I was originally going to fill this in with a lightweight block to keep the hand planes from shifting around. But then I thought it's large enough to become a compartment, so why not make a compartment out of it? So I'm going to be using this little block of leftover offcut black limba to create a compartment in here, a square compartment. It's almost square, I would imagine. And then break this down into 4 pieces with mitered corners and fill it in, and possibly put a drawer in it. I'm not sure about that part, but so I'll start with that. The moral of the story: sometimes it pays to give this sort of thing plenty of thought. Wait a few days, because you'd be surprised at the different options you can come up with instead of just rushing in. And had I completed this differently, I would have to undo everything to be able to perform this. So all I need to do now is create 2 dadoes here, put a divider in, keep these 2 planes, a block plane and a smoother, Japanese smoother, separate from each other, and then create this almost square compartment, and then maybe a little filler block here to keep everything from shifting around. So I'll have 3 compartments then. Using a contrasting wood will make it more interesting too. So I'll start with that. That small compartment that I referred to, I'm going to be filling in with sort of a box. It's rectangular, not quite square. So I've started to create the components. They're a little shy of a 1/4 inch thick, between 3/16 and a 1/4 inch, to create as much available space as possible within the compartment. I've created a rabbet on the bottoms for 1/8 inch Baltic birch ply. Actually, it reinforces the box and it creates a bottom. So I've done that with a plow plane. These are the parts. These are 5 5/8 inch long. I've already mitered these, so I'm mitering them now with the shooting board, and these are 5 3/8. So this will comprise the box. That's where I am now. So this one's done, the 5 5/8 side. I'm working on a 5 3/8 inch side now. So I'm using a miter attachment on my shooting board because the components are small. I don't have to do it on a bandsaw or anything, so I can actually just create the miters here. It's a little tedious, but I got 8 miters to create, but nice and peaceful. When I cut the pieces down, I provide an extra 1/16 or so for some final tuning of the length. This one's almost done, one more pass. So this is done, this piece is done. I think I've done 2 now. This is a longer piece, that's the shorter pieces, it's got the 2 tones. And so that'll be the box. And then I'll test fit it, and I might have to shorten it maybe shy of a 32nd or so to fit in the compartment. So I'll start with these parts now. It's important to true your end square prior to doing any of this. Make sure all the parts are squared, the ends are squared to the edges. And of course I created the rabbet at the bottom for the bottom panel before doing this. And a nice thing about the having a miter joint as a form of joinery is it actually hides the inner or the bottom panel, because the surfaces of the panel the compartment pieces will actually intersect at 45 degrees. And I'll assemble the box using some light clamps or even the blue tape. So I'm dry assembling the components now. I've ensured that all the components are at the right lengths. Using blue tape, so I'll use a piece of blue tape here. You know what? I'll just cut the pieces off. Oh, okay, that's all I need. So this is the box. So I'm going to complete the taping, and then I'll bring it over to the tool case to make sure it all fits. And sometimes, even after you've measured everything, there's always a discrepancy or something. So this is the box with the bottom rabbet. It probably needs to be checked for square. So that's 7 3/4. Okay, 7 7/8. About. So I'll have to work at the alignment a little bit just to get it. So that's 7 7/8. Almost 7 7/8. Work on that a little, and then I'll get back to it. Then I'll glue it and possibly clamp it a little. I'm not sure yet. So here we are. This is the box. So I'm going to be test fitting the taped up box into the compartment. So it's actually perfect. I've allowed some room around the tools, so I just need to so that's the compartment. So I need to add the back onto the compartment, the sides, and I have a new compartment. I have a new compartment now, so I'm not sure what to do with this. I might actually put a sliding drawer into it or something, or subdivide it. But it's a nice compartment, and I can still access all the tools. So it serves two purposes. It provides me a new compartment, and it keeps the tools from moving around. So I just need possibly a spacer block in here. I'll probably use balsa or basswood, and another one here when I'm transporting the case, and some dense foam here and then here, and I should be fine. So I just need to glue this up now. So I've completed the box. That rabbet that was created, I inserted a 1/8 inch thick piece of Baltic birch as a drawer bottom. Well, it isn't quite a drawer, but so it fits really well. So I need to attach it to the, I could or could not attach it to the case. I'm not sure yet, but it provides excellent spacing for the hand planes and separates them. And I've also created this divider to separate the two Japanese planes, the upper plane, the smoother and the block plane. So that's the latest configuration. Next, I'll be making I'm still working on the top part of the case. I'm scalloping the dividers to better access the chisels. And this is the compartment that will house a drawer. So I need to create a drawer for this. And I'm debating on how to install a handle on the drawer to be able to open it. I'm thinking of just creating two round slots to pull it open, because it needs to be at the same level or flush with the rest of the frame, if we can see that here. So there isn't much room for a handle. Even if I recess it, I lose quite a bit of drawer space for the handle. So the best option is just to have two holes, and you can pull it open, or so I might just do that. I'm not sure. Then I'll use some dense black foam to custom fit to keep the planes from moving around even further with when I transport the case. So this is definitely the heavier of the two halves. It's quite heavy, and the other one's still a work in progress. So I'll be working on the other one next, scalloping the dividers and lowering the lip a little, down from 3/8 to about 5/16 or 1/4 inch. And it fits into this area. And then I'll be creating the stands, the plywood stands, to prop them up at an angle. That's going to be a whole challenge in itself. I've never done anything like that, so that's where I'm at now. So please subscribe to my YouTube woodworking channel, where I share more of my woodworking techniques, my woodworking philosophy, my thoughts on woodworking, and all the challenges I've experienced, and I introduce some of the new forms of woodworking I've discovered. And also visit woodskills.com, where I have a good selection of my books, both in print and digital format, on woodworking, and all my online courses, and I also offer woodworking plans. I have maintained a regular blog on what I've got going on in my workshop and in woodworking in general. So enjoy.
you.